62 hours on this train, and I'm taking you guys along with me. This journey actually started here, on my couch. I was browsing YouTube and this video popped up. Across the US via train. It went viral, millions of views. And this is the first time I heard of the California Zephyr, Amtrak's most scenic train that runs from Chicago to San Francisco, a 52-hour route through the Rockies and the Sierra Nevadas. It was wintertime, and I imagined this cozy Hogwarts Express-esque ride with lots of time to read, unplug, and take in the scenery. And so, I booked it. It's very tiny. Got a little mirror, side table, trash can down there. This is the seat, a light, table that pulls out. We've got the other seat here. These two seats actually fold down into a bed. And then the ceiling drops down. If you see, it's hanging right there, but it'll drop down entirely. It also conforms into a bed. So this roomette sleeps 2 people. We currently have our luggages up there because we brought way too many things. But yeah, this is gonna be our space for the next 2 days. This first day we were just getting the lay of the land. We explored the dining cart and the observation cart, which quickly became our favorite and where we spent almost all of our time. It had cozy booths and the biggest windows of all the cars. The train departed Chicago at 2 p.m. and on our first day it would make its way through Illinois and all of Iowa. It was really cool seeing some of the small towns of America pass by. I noticed that each one had at least 2 or 3 visible auto part or auto repair shops. There'd be some towns where I wouldn't see any restaurants, but an auto part shop would be present, and I thought that was very interesting. With our roomette, we also got complimentary dining on the train. We had breakfast, lunch, and dinner service. The food was similar to airplane food. It wasn't anything to write home about, but I love the aesthetic of the dining cart, and it was nice to not have to worry about bringing food for 3 days on board. By 11:40 p.m., we arrived in Omaha, Nebraska. We stepped out for some fresh air for about 2 minutes before reboarding and going to sleep. While we slept, we traveled across all of Nebraska and woke up an hour outside of Denver. A lot of new passengers boarded in Denver, and the observation cart seating started getting really competitive, but we managed to snag a table, and after departing Denver, we started climbing in elevation, beginning our journey through the Rocky Mountains. This is when things are supposed to get really scenic.
Underneath the Continental Divide along either east, north, or it will take us 10 minutes.
50 miles outside of Denver, we went through the third largest and the highest altitude tunnel in the United States, the Henderson Tunnel. It travels beneath the Continental Divide, and it's a 10-mile long tunnel. It takes the train 10 minutes to cross it. Before we crossed the Continental Divide, all the rivers were flowing in the opposite direction of the train, but after passing the divide, all the rivers flow in the same direction as the train. Most of our journey in Colorado followed the Colorado River and had the most gorgeous views of snow-capped mountains and the bright red Colorado canyons. I have to say the videos look amazing, but it really doesn't do it justice. I'm really lucky to have experienced all of this in real life, and if you're planning to do this journey in the future, I'll give a bunch of tips and tricks that I learned at the end of this video. It's like such a beautiful town, but we're only staying for 5 minutes. It's gonna make a snowman in the 5 minutes we have here. I'm so scared of being left behind. The Zephyr only runs once every 24 hours. Oh, he did it. Oh, we are ready. Last and final call. But I still care for you. Days when the last train's calling, I'm not your silver lining. Baby, some things will never change. On our second day on the train, we traveled through the rest of Colorado and made our way into Utah. We went to bed right as we entered Utah and woke up in Nevada. This was our last day on the California Zephyr. Today we're going to make our way through the Sierra Nevadas into Northern California, just a few miles north of Lake Tahoe, heading straight to San Francisco. Passed by Donner Lake and through Donner Pass in Northern California. This was one of the most beautiful sights of the trip, if you can even begin to rank them. The way the trees and the clouds reflected off of the surface of the lake was just stunning.
Right on the way up, that was Donner Lake. This is known as Donner Pass.
2 miles long, 4 minutes to get through. Donner's Pass. like 50-hour journey. So excited. I'm so ready to get some fresh air and to get something to eat.
We should have lived a life together in your warm inside. We should have loved each other, baby. Oh, what could I have done? Just wanna spend some time together before everything's gone. It's in the air, can't you feel that good times are coming on?
There goes our train.
California, here I come. Every heartbeat just like a drum. I hear your rhythm, you feel so near. California, all senses clear. I'll be
So I'm home now, and the question is, would I recommend this trip to people? And yes, I definitely recommend this trip. I had the best time. You get to see so many gorgeous sights that America has to offer, and you get to see it all within 2 days. 2 days, you've got the plains, the canyons, the snowy mountains, the small towns, the big cities. You see all of this stuff in such a short period of time. It's just so beautiful. Like, I was in awe the whole time. So I'd highly, highly recommend. I do, however, have a few things that I would do differently, so I'm gonna go into some of those now. First off, I didn't film the journey from Martinez to LA, and that's because it was a whole mess. We were supposed to get to LA at 2 a.m., but we actually ended up getting here at 6:30 a.m., so we were just so tired. I was so over this whole train thing, and that's why I'm a little triggered by the word Amtrak now. I wish I'd booked a plane ticket from SF to LA. That actually just leads me to my next point, is that really the best portion of this whole ride is from Denver to San Francisco. So you could even just hop on in Denver if you wanted to skip the first day of the trip. I definitely like that we did the whole Chicago to San Francisco experience, but just know that the views get more interesting as you venture out west. Next up, let's talk about germs. So the train is a little dirty, a little dusty, I'd say. And honestly, the biggest reason we didn't hang out in our roomette is because it was so dusty in there, it was really hard to breathe. Bring a thing of Clorox wipes, that'll do you good. But it was honestly, we had some and we would wipe things and it would be so black. So it was kind of even grosser to know how dirty they were. And like, has this like armrest ever been wiped down? Has this table ever been wiped down? I mean, obviously it's a train, so like, what can you do? But just be mentally prepared that it's a little gross. For the food they had on board was just not great, but I mean, it was food and it was convenient that they had it on board. You didn't have to pack a meal for 3 days, but don't expect like a gourmet meal. I wish I had brought some snacks and some fruit specifically. I think by the end of the 2 days, I just wanted like an apple and some raspberries just to eat something fresh. Last thing I'll mention in terms of cost, there are 3 different types of tickets for the California Zephyr. In order from most expensive to least expensive, there's a room, then there's a roomette, then there's coach. We had a roomette. The difference between a roomette and a room is a room has an attached bathroom. A roomette is nice if you're like me and you can't sleep unless you're laying down. That's me. But if you can sleep on like an airplane seat or something like that, you might even be fine just with the coach seating. We honestly hung out in the observation cart most of the time, and the observation cart was open to everyone. With the coach seats, you don't get the dining and they don't let you pay for it on board. You have to have a sleeper room or to get the dining cart experience with the breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But speaking of cost, I'd highly recommend checking out the Amtrak credit card. So the total cost of the trip for 2 people from Chicago to LA was going to be a little bit over $1,200, which was kind of mind-boggling to me. I didn't know it was that expensive. Right before we booked it, I was like, wait, let me check if there's like an Amtrak credit card and I could get some points and get this for free maybe. And there was. I applied for the Amtrak credit card when they had a $50K bonus offer, and then I met the requirements for the welcome offer. I got the 50,000 Amtrak points, and I was able to use those points to book this trip. I think in points, this trip was like 37,000 points. So yeah, it was totally free. I mean, I did pay the $79 for the annual fee on the card, so I guess you could say this whole trip in terms of ticketing cost me 79 bucks. I definitely recommend checking out the Amtrak card. I know right now the offer is a little bit lower, but just be on the lookout. Credit card offers change all the time. But yeah, that's all the advice I have for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.